والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه ومن والاه أما بعد. Continuing inshallah ta'ala, after the hadith that we have studied about avoiding the face when someone will be fighting or coming to a situation of correcting or fighting, the Prophet ﷺ had ordained us to avoid the face, and we have mentioned the comment of that hadith. The next hadith, very important hadith, all of you know the hadith, but we'll go through its sharh بإذن الله تعالى. قال وعنه أي عن أبي هريرة رضي الله تعالى عنه أن رجلا قال يا رسول الله أوصني. A man came to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam and he said, advise me. قال لا تغضب. قال لا تغضب. Do not be angry. Then the person or the one who asking the question kept repeating, أوصني, give me more advice, and the Prophet ﷺ keep telling him, لا تغضب, do not be angry. And this is hadith in Al-Bukhari. This is hadith in Al-Bukhari. وعنه أي عن أبي هريرة أن رجلا قال يا رسول الله أوصني قال لا تغضب فرد مرارا فقال لا تغضب. So the same also, he kept saying, asking the Prophet ﷺ to give him more advice, and the Prophet ﷺ keeps telling him the same thing, do not be angry. In a narration that been narrated by Al-Imam Ahmed, that Ibn Qudama وجاء قال في حديث آخر, one of the person in the narration that he asked the question, his name Sufyan ibn Abdullah al-Thaqafi, قال قلت يا رسول الله قل لي قولا أنتفع به وأقلل. So some of the companion or those who come to ask the Prophet ﷺ say, tell me something that will benefit me and make it short. قال لا تغضب ولك الجنة. Do not be angry and you will have paradise. سبحان الله. وورد عن آخرين من الصحابة مثل ذلك. Also the same hadith came from different path from the companion of the one Allah Ta'ala alayhim on the emphasis of the advice to not be angry. So the hadith is very clear. نهي عن الغضب. نهي is prohibited to be angry. However, the issue here, anger is an innate character in the person. So do a person, every time they get angry, they are sinful, which is not, it does not, which is not the meaning of the hadith. Do not say it's not right, it's not, no, it's not the meaning of the hadith. That's why. So I said, لا تغضب, do not be angry. Do not be angry. So Imam al-Khattabi قال نهي عن اجتناب أسباب الغرض والتعرض لما يجلبه. So the prohibition here is to avoid anything that trigger your anger and to be exposed to anything that makes someone to get angry, to get angry. Here, first, when someone reflect, when the Prophet ﷺ said لا تغضب, many of the companions, they came to the Prophet ﷺ asking the same question, give me advice, Ya Rasulullah. Some of them, the Prophet ﷺ said, do your prayer, at the beginning of its time. The Prophet ﷺ talked to them about jihad. Abu Hurairah himself, he said, from my wasiyah of the Prophet ﷺ is to keep two rak'ah in the night, to eliminate your grave, things like that. So everyone, the Prophet ﷺ tailored the advice to them. So this person, and we take it, that's why we need to derive the lessons from this hadith by first knowing the reason of the hadith. So it seems this person has an anger issue. So the Prophet ﷺ telling him, if you stop or control your anger, then you'll be in a good condition. In the other hadith of Imam Ahmed, he said, you will have paradise. Now, as being innate al-ghadab, innate in a person, anger. The anger that a person, make a person to go overboard, to do things that he will regret later, that is the prohibited one. However, anger in the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is recommended, is an obligation. Because to be angry in the way of Allah, which means someone will violate the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or the law of Allah, the sanctity of things that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala makes sacred, that need to make you angry. Because if you're not angry, so you don't have iman. When, all of you, the hadith, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent Jibreel to destroy a town, and Jibreel alayhi salam, he said, there's a righteous person in this town. He said, start with him. What was the reason? قال كان يرى المنكر ولا يتمعر وجهه لرؤيته. He used to see evil doing, and his face does not express any anger to see in it, or any feature to show that he despises it. So this person does not have iman. That's why the Prophet ﷺ, he said, when you see a munkar, change it with whatever means possible, adequate, appropriate. Someone can do it with their hands, someone can do it with their tongue. Some people, they cannot even speak, so with the heart. So what is that heart in the thing that you heart that you express it by denying the munkar is anger. So if we kill the anger, then we're gonna kill part of our iman. Then directing the anger, managing the anger, this is what the hadith is instructing us. Not to eradicate your anger, to direct the anger. So when someone knows that he has, or she has an anger issue, and they have the anger issue, they're gonna regret it, they're gonna be talking ill, they're gonna be slandering, they're gonna be swearing maybe, they're gonna be hitting, they're gonna use violence, all of that is haram. So what led to all this action is the anger. And the anger, in an inappropriate, reason. Why are you getting angry? Why are you getting angry? So people, they get angry sometimes for nothing, So that's what the Prophet ﷺ has, made to be prohibited. Because some people, sometimes they ask something and they didn't get it, they get angry. And when they get angry, they go overboard, by swearing, by insulting, by beating, by doing all of those things, and those are haram. And he was driven by this anger. And the anger, as we know, this type of anger is going to be like kind of stirred and fueled by the shaitan. Because the shaitan, he will be, as in a hadith, which is mentioned here, that in the meaning of the hadith, someone angry at that level, it becomes like a ball in the hand of the shaitan. He can use them, he can throw them whatever the shaitan wants. Why? Because those people are angry, and then they say whatever, things that they don't think about it. As a matter of fact, some type of anger makes someone unaware of what they're saying. For this reason, someone will be very angry and he can say, the word of divorce to his wife. The Prophet ﷺ said, when someone ughliq, part of the anger of ighlaq, he does not know even what he's saying, this person, then that saying of divorce is void and is not counted. Here then, this is the meaning of the anger. Umar radiallahu ta'ala anhu has an anger. The first anger in the way of the ignorance that they had, was pushing him and driving him to kill the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The same anger made him to be Al-Faruq. It's by anger. Why he's angry will be angry for anything that violate the law of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The Prophet ﷺ was the softest, the most lenient, the most kind, when anything that comes to deal with himself. When that Bedouin came and strangled him, he said, give me from what Allah gave you. All the companions, they get so mad and they want to jump on this person. He said, leave him, leave my friend to me. And then after he gave him and everything and he welcomed him, so he said to these companions, he said, if I had you to react, then you might have killed him then he would have entered hellfire. However, when the Prophet ﷺ, there is a person who used to write the wahi, and he went back to disbelief, and he was talking ill about the Prophet, and he was talking ill about the Quran. He said, I used to change and things. The Prophet ﷺ ordered for this person to be killed. You see, this is anger in the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's why Aisha radiallahu ta'ala anha, she said, the Prophet ﷺ never get angry except in the sake of Allah. So here, getting angry for the sake of Allah, that's something that mahmuda, that is praised, that's actually part of our iman. So someone should not fight the anger to take it away from their system, and you say because the Prophet ﷺ said la taghdab. No, la taghdab, when you become transgressing people, when you become an unjust, when you go, you cross the limit. That's the ghadab that is prohibited. So that's why he قال وَأَمَّا نَفْسُ الْغَضَبِ فَلَا يَتَأَتَّى النَّهْيُ. So we cannot say to someone, do not be angry, when it's innate in us. So this is something innate, natural in the person. So other scholars say قال وقع النهي عما كان من قبيل ما يكتسب فيدفعه بالرياضة. So the nahi, the prohibition, it comes in all the things that lead the person to get angry, and get angry for no reason sometimes, or for futile things. So this is a person, with this advice of the Prophet and command of the Prophet, they have to practice, to do some training with themselves, to do some reflect, ponder, find the ways how to not react in negative way and to be angry. So qala, to do it with riyad. قال وهو نهي عما ينشأ عنه الغضب. Is also, there is people, what was the reason of their anger is some illness and disease in their heart. Here he emphasized on one aspect, which is arrogance. Because the kibr might be, subhanallah, it's also innate in us. But it depends, sometimes people feel provoked. That provocation, with anger, make a person angry and react negatively. So here, sometimes we'll be treating the reason, or that's the element that will fuel the anger. Like here he said, the kibr. لِكَوْنِهِ يَقَوْ عِنْدَ مُخَالَفَةِ أَمْرٍ يُرِيدُ. So when someone, for example, oppose a person on a fact, opposing a person, they want that their word to be fulfilled. Their anger, that denote that they are arrogant, subhanAllah. Because arrogance, sometimes we do not know that we have it. But our reaction to certain, situation help us in a way to discover that we have arrogance. Because you said, do this. A person says, no, I'm not going to do it now. Or we should do this. So the person gets angry. He said, no, you have to do it. And then, the person persists that you're not going to do it. Then that other person gets very angry. So what makes them angry? Because they said, we're not going to do it, right? If it's not something that is an obligation, it's not something, and even is an obligation, you want a person to help them to do what is an obligatory. But it's just simple request, or you have an opinion, you said, I think what's happening today, the world is because of this and this and this. A person said, I don't think though. What happened is because they said, no, you don't know anything. You see? So, accusing a person to not know anything because you want your opinion to prevail, and that's actually reflect the arrogance of the person. Yeah? And there is people, subhanAllah, when they discuss with a lot of anger, and you cannot even talk to them. So, and people who have, anger issue, they have arrogance, they cannot listen, they cannot, you cannot find any solution with them. Why? Because the anger blocked them. So that arrogance, fuel the anger, and the anger blocks, subhanAllah, or the channel of the communication of understanding and so on. That's why the Prophet ﷺ said, La taghdab, because the ghadab, make you a person being on the side of the shaitan. You become partisan of the shaitan, and you're doing things that totally are wrong, hurting people, acting in arrogance, rejecting what is right. Because one of the signs of the judgment, people, they will be, rejoicing their own opinion and self-amazed with their opinion. قال وإعجاب كل ذي رأي برأيه. So such a thing denote arrogance, denote that self-amazed things that people they have, self-adoration. All of that, subhanallah, what leads to anger. Because people, they do not accept to be argued, do not accept to be disputed, they do not accept, to keep them show them they are wrong. This is not permissible for these people. That's why the only way to treat anger, because there's different treatment of the anger. The treatment, the immediate anger, when someone is get angry. So we know the hadith of the Prophet, we already studied, to go make wudu. If someone is standing, they should sit, because the shaitan is going to push you. What the shaitan, the anger, make a person to be pushed to do something wrong. So when he's standing, the first action is to go forward. To break that anger, you sit. When someone's sitting, he should lay down. So the anger push you forward to do something wrong. The Prophet ﷺ said, go back, standing, sit, sitting, lay down. And then the anger that makes someone, subhanAllah, very hot and warm, and that's the effect of the shaitan as he's created out of fire. So how to counter it? By making wudu. So this is when someone is facing the immediate anger that, attack this person, he has an anger attack, if you can call it like that. The other, how to get rid of the anger as a practice, as riyada, as someone, process of purification, is with the learning humbleness, to be humble, to be modest. So the more humbleness the person is learning, the better he will be or she will be in managing their anger. Why? Because humbleness shift the izzah of the nafs. The izzah, when the pride of the person, the honor of the person, shifted to be within the self, looking from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Is enough that you have good relation with Allah, make you feel honored. So people insult you, if something that you can disregard, because your value is what is in your relation with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, not in relation with what people make you to be, قال تذهب عنه عزة النفس يسلم من شر الغضب. So when he will get rid of this seeking to validate, justify their honor, their dignity, their pride, from discussing, from pushing, enforcing their opinion, but he has it because he has a heart satisfied. There's an amazing story, subhanAllah, I came through not long ago about Ibn Rajab al-Hanbali. He was with his student, and they had a question for a difficult matter. So he started to explain it, and he took long time to explain it. All his students, they were amazed about the way how he was explaining it, and how much knowledge and deep knowledge their sheikh had. Then they've been invited to a gathering. So they went to this gathering, and there were many other scholars. So they sat, and some of his students, they were with him. And one, he asked the same question that they had in the masjid. So the scholar, everyone started to give an answer. Ibn Rajab, he didn't speak at all. So when they left, their student, they wished the sheikh will speak, now he's going to speak, now he's going to answer them, now he's going to tell them, the true, kind of how complex is the mas'ala and how our sheikh he has the able to solve it. he didn't speak a word. So when they left, they said, our Imam, our Sheikh, you know, in the mas'ala, we know that you already talked about, we were like shocked why you didn't try to clarify it for them. Look what he said. And this is humbleness. Because if someone has that arrogance and have that anger issue, he will have intervened and said, hey, stop, you know, just becomes like show off. You know, what he said, rahimahullah ta'ala, he said, in the masjid, that was the talk for the sake of Allah. In this gathering, the talk is for the sake of the dunya. That's why I didn't speak. Period. So profound, so deep, and that's also show and reflect this strong and big heart of Ibn Rajab, rahimahullah ta'ala. So, to treat yourself, you know, by humbleness, you will defeat your anger. That bad anger, because there is good anger. The good anger you have to keep, you know, maintain it, sustain it with your iman. That's actually part of the life of your iman. وقيل معناه لا تفعل ما يأمرك به الغضب, and one of the meaning, do not do what anger is ordaining you or pushing you to do. That's also what it means of the hadith. قيل وإنما اقتصر صلى الله عليه وسلم على هذه اللفظة لأن السائل كان غضوبا. And this is what we have said. Why the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم just mentioned لا تغضب for this person? Because the person himself has, as I have said, an issue, an anger issue. وكان صلى الله عليه وسلم يفتي كل أحد بما هو أولى به. The Prophet used to advise and give the fatwa for a person that befit this person, relevant this person, that help this person. This person has issue in a salah time, pray on time. This person has issue in jihad, you should that the best for you in the jihad, and so on. قال وقولي لا تغضب خير الدنيا والآخرة لأن الغضب يؤول إلى التقاطع ومنع الرفق ويؤول إلى أن يؤذي الذي غضب عليه. So the do not be angry is going to help you in this life and help you be successful in the akhirah. Why? Because anger is going to lead to division, is going to lead to enmity, is going to lead, subhanAllah, to cut the ties with the close people with you, is going to lead to a person to be violent, is going to lead to a person to hurt and harm the people that get angry against, and all of this is not جائزة. ويحتمل أن يكون من باب التنبيه بالأعلى على الأدنى, and it might be also لا تغضب, to have specify something, you know, that implies something, you know, أعلى. So we said, like for example, this way of the scholar, they say, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said to the person to not say off to the parents. So this is تنبيه بالأدنى على الأعلى. So if Allah prohibited to say off, then what you think of higher than that? So it's more haram. So they're saying here, because this ghadab لا تغضب, because you're going to be prey of the shaitan and the nafs. So whoever who struggle against this anger, he will be able then to purify themselves. So this struggle against the ghadab and purify it or control it, help a person to purify their heart and to control their nafs. Wallahu ta'ala alam, wa jazakum Allahu khairan wa barakallahu fikum. Any question? تفضل.